Hi everyone, Roger here from What's on DisneyPlus.com with a quick news update for you guys about Disney going to be getting a lot more stricter on password sharing for Disney Plus. But before we go any further, make sure you do hit that subscribe button to keep up with the latest Disney Plus news. So recently, Disney and Charter announced a new multi-year deal which will allow them to continue to offer Disney channels to subscribers of Spectrum TV, things like National Geographic, FX, ABC, Freeform, Disney Channel, etc. Part of this new deal means they're going to be trying to bring Hulu, Disney Plus and ESPN Plus into the Spectrum TV system. In the official press release, Disney mentioned the issue of password sharing. They said, additionally, Disney and Charter have also agreed to work together on piracy mitigation. The two companies will work together to implement business rules and techniques to address such issues as unauthorized access and password sharing. So the question is, what does that mean about password sharing? Now, there are a number of different things that this could mean. Now, me and James did have a full-on conversation about this on our most recent episode of the What's on Disney Plus podcast, and I thought it would be something to go into a little bit more detail on because the article was extremely popular. So the thing about password sharing is, up till now, Netflix has always kind of had this kind of, it knew about it, it was aware of the situation. They tried to do stuff to stop it. I know personally my Netflix account was hacked and was being used by somebody in Peru, so I got the notification, I had to log in, change all my passwords, etc. Now that obviously is like illegal hacking. I think most of us would agree we don't want other people that we don't know logging in with our passwords and watching content like Disney Plus. So obviously they're going to want to try and cut down on all this illegal activity, stopping people sharing IDs and passwords and selling them online and just doing that with strangers. You can kind of see it from the business point of view that doesn't make a lot of sense for Disney to just try and not stop that, because ultimately if there are people making money off of selling and stealing IDs and passwords, etc., that's definitely not good. And I think, as I said, most of us would agree that that is not a good thing. But when it comes to family and friends, things get a little bit more complicated. Now, while you might give your username and password to your brother or sister or your parents or your grandparents or anything like that, Disney might be taking a little bit more of a stricter view on this. But we don't yet know how this is going to be working. And I think it is very important that we see why they're doing this. Obviously, they want to bring in as many subscribers as possible, and it's also money. Obviously, if you've got one family with 4 or 5 different households all logging in under one account, that's only one subscription, and Disney are obviously going to be making a loss if everyone had subscribed. But it's a bit tricky because a lot of people do like to share it. Especially with there being so many different subscription services coming up, it makes sense for some families to maybe share. Maybe I take out Hulu, somebody else takes out Netflix, and we all share passwords and we all log in and we all get the content we want. But there is that problem as well that this can be abused. There are many stories and memes, etc. And there's even been an article in the national papers over here in the UK getting random messages from strangers asking why they can't log in anymore, or why have you stopped paying, or why have you kicked me out. And then when they find out who it is, maybe it's an ex-girlfriend or ex-boyfriend, maybe it's even a roommate, or even it's been reported of friends of the ex-partner that have now logged in, or parents. And this is where it all gets into that tricky situation. I'm sure most of us wouldn't like people that we don't know logging in on our accounts. I think it's important to note here that Disney are not going after families and households. You know, they want people to use their systems. They're going to be playing on the fact that different people in the household are going to be accessing it. Maybe you've got somebody upstairs watching one show and the family downstairs watching another, and vice versa. Or maybe, you know, you're at work watching something while the family are watching something at home. They aren't going after that. This is not what the password sharing is all about. You using it legally is not the problem. It's about password sharing amongst lots of people and maybe friends, etc. They want to try and clamp down on this. And it makes sense from Disney's point of view. They want that subscription money and they're going to want those subscribers. Now, apparently 14 to 16% of people that are using Netflix are actually using somebody else's account. Now, again, this is where it all gets a bit iffy because, as I said, when it comes to illegal copies of people getting hold of IDs, most people wouldn't want that to happen, and I would see why Disney are just trying to stop it. But obviously, if I'm away on vacation and I'm suddenly accessing it in another country for a week or two, that might just flag up and go, okay, something's going on here. Is this you? I know quite often when you log in on different social medias and different places on different devices, it'll ask you to make sure that it is you. And I don't think there's a problem with that personally. But the idea of kind of them blocking out family members from that you have done and given them the username and password is going to be a tricky situation. It could put off subscribers, but it also is going to be something they're going to have to monitor and watch. And it's just unfortunate that this kind of situation has arisen. And Some people might be looking at it going, no, Disney are making enough money, my family can all share it. And this is obviously an issue going forward for Disney, because while they don't want to be putting off families from subscribing, they also have to be tough on making sure that this isn't being abused. And I think that is the key thing here. Obviously, if you've got lots of IPs from different households all logging in at the same time regularly, they might start clogging on to the idea that this isn't quite right, and therefore might end up sending a message going, you can't do this. But again, they might not even go down this line. They are just developing technology to try and stop it or curb it or even slow it down. Like I said, it's a tricky situation that they're going to have to watch, because, for example, if I logged in and I gave my username and details to my mum to watch, and we ended up getting our account blocked, that wouldn't go down very well, and that would end up alienating customers. And that's not a good sign, even though you could say, essentially, my mum should be subscribing and paying for it. Some would argue it's stealing, some would argue it's not. It's very, very tricky. In the eyes of the laws, you're not supposed to do it. There are policies in place when you do sign up to agree to it that this doesn't happen. And ultimately, we're going to have to find out. As I said, it's very different from the idea of people in the household all having their devices. I know on Disney Life, up to 10 devices can use this account. But I don't think they necessarily want 10 people in 10 different households using that account. It's very tricky. Some of them offer maybe 2 or 3 simultaneous logins. Some of them offer a bit more. They're going to have to test this, work out what's going on. And ultimately, password sharing is not going to go away, but Disney are going to want to try and stop as much of it as possible to stop the abuse. But yeah, they aren't going to completely stop it. This is a very difficult situation for Disney. They've got to try and do the balancing act of what is right and what is wrong, what they're going to let people get away with, what they're not. If they go too heavy, they could alienate people and they will go off to Netflix and HBO. But if they get too lax, they could be losing money, and that could also be a problem as well when they're creating content. There's so many different streaming services out there. Not everyone's going to be able to subscribe to everything, but at the same time, they could be looking at it, and the argument could be made that if you are watching it, you should be paying for it. Now, there is the idea, obviously, if I'm paying for it and my wife or kids are watching it, then I am paying for it, and therefore that is part of the subscription. And I don't think they would argue about that in the slightest. There is a reason why when you log into Disney Plus, you're going to have all these different profiles for different people. They want that to happen. They just don't want people essentially taking the mick and abusing the system. And I think you have to remember this. They are going to get tough on it, and this technology will be there, but it's more about stopping it being abused rather than stopping what you should be doing as part of your standard subscription. But let me know in the comments below what you guys think of password sharing. Obviously, it's going to be a little bit of a hot topic, but I'd love to hear your thoughts. Go check us out over at whatsondisneyplus.com. Like, follow, and subscribe, and I shall see you guys in another video. Laters.